The first thing I want to talk about is that most people, when they talk about registrations, they think they have a traffic problem. They think that if I can only get twice as many people to my registration page, if I can only afford Facebook marketing so I can get more traffic to my registration page, people would I get more registrants if I get more people to the registration page. This is a myth, and I have debunked this myth over and over and over with our training and with my own webinars, that you don't have a traffic problem. You have a conversion problem. You have a problem in converting people over when they get there, right? And I'm going to show you why this is so important. I'm going to show you the math of why conversion trumps traffic every day, okay? Hey, Lisa, it's good to see you. So we're gonna. This is the standard registration page conversion rate in the industry today, right? A registration page will convert at 25% on average. Okay. Now there's different industries, different reasons. Cold traffic. They're talking about cold traffic here coming to a registration page. People that don't know who you are, they're not on your email list. Okay. So 25%. The average attendance rate, I mean, they convert from registering to attending the webinar, is 30%. So we're going to give you an example. 100 people go to your registration page. At 25%, 25 people register. 30% of 25 is 8 attendees. Okay, this is the industry average. So even if you get 100 people to your website, the end result is 8 people attend your webinar. Okay, 25 register, 8 attend. The registrants still matter because you can follow up, they can watch replays, you can send them offers, all that kind of stuff. But this is just showing you the conversion rate here. Okay. What if we increase the conversion rates just a bit, right? Didn't change the traffic. We didn't change the traffic at all. Same 100 people, but we optimize our conversions. What's going to happen? Let's increase our registration page conversion 25 to 40%, which is not unheard of. We have users that do this with WebinarNinja. I convert at a higher rate than 40%, but this is the average. So 40%. Let's increase the attendance rate from 30 to 50%. That means when people register, half my registrants attend. Okay, look at this, same traffic numbers, right? But now I have 40 registrants and not 25, okay? And now I have 20 attendees, okay? I nearly triple my attendees because of the compounding of the percentages, right? So all you need to really worry about first is your conversions, your registration page conversions and your attendance conversions. A lot of people put the cart before the horse and say, I'm just going to drive a bunch of traffic in there. But if you're driving traffic, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of time, a waste of effort if they're not converting. So let's make sure we're optimizing our conversions first. We get these numbers first. We're converting at 40 and 50. 40% for registration, 50 for attendance, right? Or around those numbers. And then we can say, okay, now let's start thinking about marketing, how we're going to do it, if we're going to spend money, if we're not going to spend money, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so how can we optimize the conversions? Good question, Anna. This is what we're going to be talking about today. So let's jump right into it. So I just want to make sure that you guys got this. If you want to write down these numbers on a piece of paper or something like that, so you can just put in your own numbers later on and change the variables, that is a good practice to do. But I want to show you how important it is to convert versus traffic, okay? I'm not doubling my conversion rates here. I'm not doubling my attendance rates here, right? But I get more than double attendees, almost triple, because of the math. Okay, let's do it. Math is beautiful. So what elements make a high converting registration page? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into WebinarNinja. I'm going to show you the registration pages that we've created, our templates that we offer for you that are customizable. But there's certain things that we have tested that you have to have at certain places in your pages in order for you to convert at a high rate, and I'll explain why. So I'm going to share my screen right now, and we'll jump right in. We're going to create a webinar together, and we're going to take a look at what are the elements that do this. Okay, let's do this. Let me go and share my screen. I'm going to go maximize here, and I'm going to jump into WebinarNinja. Okay, so I'm going to create a new webinar. And in WebinarNinja, you can create several different types of webinars. You can create live webinars. Let me zoom in here to make things easier for people. You can create automated webinars, series webinars, hybrid webinars. We're just going to create a live webinar for this example. And if you have any questions about these different types of webinars, you can pop it in the questions area below, and we'll talk about them later. So let's give this webinar a title. How about Masterclass, Sell More, Pitch Less? This is my course on sales on webinars. Let's say I have a co-host. I'm going to add a co-host. Let's say I'm going to add Nicole as my co-host, and I'm going to do her email here. And then she automatically gets this email as a co-host telling her, hey, you've been invited as a co-host. Click on this link to attend. We do this automatically for you, so that way you don't have to email the co-host separately. And send them the instructions. All that stuff is sent. Let's put a date for this webinar. Let's say we do it June 11, and we do it at 11 a.m. for 1 hour. Done. And this is going to be a free webinar. I'm going to hit create webinar. And if this is the first time you've seen WebinarNinja, that's it. You're done. You've created a webinar with WebinarNinja. It's done. Once I'm happy with everything, I can change things if I like, registration pages, email notifications. I can modify things. But if I wanted to, I can just start right now. I can just hit publish the webinar, and get started. That simple. No billion steps. Okay, we've made it super simple for you. We've done everything in the background for you. But let's take a look at the registration pages and talk about what are the most important elements for conversions. So with WebinarNinja, we offer webinar registration page templates. Okay, these are templates that are built with this in mind, with this all the testing that we've done to make sure they convert as high as possible. And we have various templates, but all these templates have the same elements. Okay, we have all these different templates. We have different layouts. We have video-based templates, and then you can save and create your own templates as well. I have my own saved templates. But let's talk about this template right here. Okay, I'm just gonna go and do a fresh template here. Hit select. And this is like one of the templates that we have, and you'll see that we have an area up here which is called above the fold. Okay, this comes from the back in the day in newspapers, like before a newspaper is folded. This is the most important information because it doesn't require any effort for people to see it. They see it in newsstands, they see it everywhere. So all the important headlines on a newspaper would go above the fold. And same thing on websites. Above the fold means before I need to scroll. Okay, before I need to scroll is above the fold. So certain things need to be above the fold, whether you're on mobile, whether you're on a tablet, whether you're on a desktop, and we make sure to optimize on all these different platforms. So what needs to be above the fold? Well, number one, there are elements you need to have so there is no confusion. Most people overcomplicate the registration pages and they confuse their registrants or their potential registrants. And one of the things I've learned recently is a great quote that says, "The confused mind never buys. A confused mind never buys." And in this case, they're not buying into registering. If they're confused in any way, even slightly, if it's uncomfortable, there's no reason to stick around. There's a billion other distractions. They can go on Facebook. They can check out their Instagram. They can go answer the door. The dog is barking. Somebody's calling them on their phone. There's all these other distractions to pull them away. So if there's any slight hesitation, any slight confusion, they're going to bounce. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to reduce confusion, and we're going to make sure that all the important information is here. Quickly, these are templates so that we have these short tags here to populate information for you so you can reuse these registrants, these templates, these registration pages. So if I hit preview, you can get an idea of what this is going to look like. So this is the title of my webinar. It populates that automatically. Okay. And it has all my information. So the important information is the promise. This is the title of your webinar. What's in it for me? People want to know, what am I going to learn? What is this all about? What am I going to get out of this, right? So in this case, sell more, pitch less. I'm going to learn how to sell more on a webinar, right? This is what I'm looking at here. If I don't know what I'm going to get out of this webinar through the title, you have a problem because people don't know what's in it for them. You need to make sure they understand this is what you're going to learn. The next thing they need to understand, as you can see, is they need to understand, who's this going to be hosted by, a face to the name. This personalizes things. Next, they need an easy way to see, when is this? What day of the week is? What date is it? What time is it? Okay. A lot of people neglect this and they just put like June 11th or something, right? But make it clearer for them. It's a Tuesday, June 11th. Tuesday is the day of the week. It makes them understand, okay, this is what day of the week is going to be on. Time zone, you need to see the time zone. You need to understand the date. Just clearly show them the date, right? This needs to be above the fold, not down here somewhere, not anywhere else, right? So you need to make sure this information, the promise, who's hosting it, the date is right there. Next, a clear call to action, which is the button that you need them to click. And we actually optimized and made sure that it's the two-step registration is actually more effective than having the form right there. A form can be quite overwhelming, like, oh, I see a form, I need to fill a form. But once they click the button, the form will pop up to make it cleaner, and they have their name and I'm sorry, I'm logged into my account, so I'm not going to show that. So let me just show you an example of my webinar, for example. I'll go here. Okay. So if I click on this, I'll get the pop-up with the name and email. You saw this when you register for the webinar. Nice and clean. No distractions. No information that they don't need to see. Okay? We purposely made this super clean. Now, in the template, you can add your company logo if you want to brand it. This is fine. It will still fit within the fold. But you see that we just have this there as a placeholder. But if you don't change it, it's totally fine. We're not going to show that placeholder. It just doesn't show. Okay? So call to action. These are all very important. How do I register? Where do I go? These are all the most important aspects that has to be above the fold. No confusion. Okay? Beyond that, it's fair game if you want to continue to sell them on it, right? You have to see a page as a conversation. Hey, I promise you this is what's going to happen. This is what you need to do. This is when it's going to be. Everything after that is all fine, but you have to sandwich things. You have to allow them to easily register after it's over. So, for example, if I keep scrolling, we have some bullet points here. This is what you're going to get out of today's webinar. This is what you're going to learn, right? If I go back to my one right here, this is my registration page. I tell them exactly what's going to be covered in the webinar. This is what you're going to miss out on if you don't attend, of course, or you don't register. So I sell them on the webinar with quick bullet points. You see that I have a bold one, then I have a description. Why? Because I don't expect everybody to read every single word on this page. So at least they read the bold. This is what they're going to get out of this webinar, each one. Okay. I like to do 6. Some people do 8. I think 6 is enough. I think 10 is overboard, but I think 6 gives you enough to sell you on the webinar. And then you can, if you're sending cold traffic, people need to understand who you are, who's running this thing. So a little bit of a testimonial or a little bit of a bio about who you are is really going to go a long way for people who don't know who you are at all. A little bit about your experience. Why are you teaching this? A little bit of relevancy, like why is this person teaching this workshop? What do they have to do with this topic? Put a little bit of information about that. Don't overdo this area. You'll see that as I keep going, we have the important information again. Date, call to action. Okay. Why? Because I want them to have a fluid experience. So it's like I'm reading. Okay. If they don't register here, okay. All right. I'm interested. What else you got here? All right. This is what I'm going to learn. Okay. Sounds good. Who's going to be teaching it? What's going on? Oh, this guy. All right. Oh, sounds pretty credible. And then I can go and register right away, and I can see all the information I need to know right there. I don't need to scroll and look. You may be thinking, oh, it's not that much scrolling, but it will make a difference on a tablet. It'll make a difference on a phone. And why make it hard? Okay, so what we're trying to do here is we're minimizing confusion and we're making it easy. As you can see, this is a linear conversation, meaning that I only have to look in the middle of the screen and read this information. So many people confuse their registration pages. They have 3 columns and here and there, and then they have this information here. You'll see that all our templates follow this formula because we find that this is what makes it convert the best. So we'll take a look at another template that we have. So even if we have this very simple template, which we call minimal, which actually converts really well, which is exactly what it is. It's a minimal template where I have the same information. My promise, the host, the date is very clear, prominent. My button, I have a countdown timer, and I can remove the timer and all this stuff if I don't want to, but all the important information is there. I have another template here. A lot of our SaaS companies, software companies use this one because they get to showcase their product on the right. So even though I have all the information, the formula is still the same. Call to action. We have the promise up here. And then again, I'm convincing them later on as the conversation goes on. We have an extra element right here if you want to, okay, which is testimonials. If you want to give testimonials, this is what other people say about this webinar or about my products or services. Again, sandwiched with the important call to action, okay? Just really quickly, I want to show you what you can do with these templates to make it your own. Why? The reason why a lot of paid ads don't work is that there's no congruency. A lot of people run you've spent hundreds and thousands of dollars on Facebook ads, and their ad looks completely different to their actual page, mostly because maybe their page is not very customizable. They can't really change things, or they just didn't put much thought into it. But you really should match your ad to the page so it looks exactly alike. Same color, same logo, same picture. So for example, if I have my face on my ad, I want to change my background image and make sure that it faces, it matches the same image that is on my ad. So it is totally congruent. So let's say, for example, I use this image right here, and I can upload my own images with WebinarNinja, and it will upload and it will show on my template. If I want to, I can also change the background color. I can, change it here. I can make it yellow if I want or something. Let's say I use one of these presets, change the opacity, up to me, okay? I can then go in, let's just use a darker color here because of the font, okay? I can then go in and then I can change my fonts. I can change the font type. I can change the font size. I can make it bold, italics. I can change the actual color of the font. I can change the justification of the font. So for example, I can, move this to the, left or to the right or up to me, whatever I want to do, or the, or any kind of, if I want to do this to the title, or if I want to do this to the subtitle, if I want to do this to the actual button, I can change colors and all that stuff. So it matches my ads. It matches wherever I'm leading them to. Even if it's on my website, I have a little banner or something, I want to make sure it's matching all the colors, all the branding that I have, so it's congruent. So there is no jarring effect. You don't want people to be like, oh, is this the right page? This looks kind of scammy. It doesn't look like what I saw before. You don't want to have that, okay? So with WebinarNinja, we make it super simple for you to customize things. We make it easy for you to add information so you don't misspell things or have put the wrong information. So we have this tag feature where you can grab the information like the webinar title, the webinar type, the host name, all that kind of stuff, and just put the short tag right here, and it'll populate that information just like I showed you before. So like, for example, when I preview, the webinar title will populate with that tag. Nice and simple. And then every aspect of the template is customizable, right? I can change, again, fonts. I can change colors. I can change all the stuff that's in here. I can even remove the whole section if I want to, shut it off completely. Or I can, again, add more bullet points. Let's say I want to go 4, not 6, and hit update. It'll change it for me, right? I can add my own image here for my host area so that, hey, this is me. I'll put my image right here. Boom, save. Again, change my font, change the bolding, change the justification, all up to me. I want to change the colors of the background. I could do that as well. Let's do that. Let's make this blue or something, or make it gray, or make it green, or whatever. Up to me. I can remove these areas if I want. I don't want to count down timer, shut it off. I don't want to have people share on social, shut it off. So as I'm making all these changes, okay, this looks good. I hit preview. Cool. I see it. All my changes are done. This looks like what I want. Okay, great. Now when I'm ready to go, all I have to do is go back to my template and hit save, right? Not only will it save it to the webinar that I just created, right? But I also could save a copy to my media library. So I can save and create my own template. So later on, I can use it for other webinars and save myself some time. So I can, create a template, call this masterclass green, for example. I had the green color down there. I can also save this webinar as the default. I can also save this template as a default registration template for all my future webinars. So I actually can just set this up once, and then when I create my webinar, the system will be like, all right, use the default, and I don't have to change anything. I can make small modifications if I want to, but if I don't want to, I can just roll with what I have as default, and it's good to go. So we make it super simple for you. So we hit save, done deal. I have it all saved. I hit close, and I'm done. My registration page is set to go, and it's going to be able to convert at a maximum rate. I also have an area here just to show you called the media library, okay? And the media library shows us all our templates that we saved. I can look at them, I can preview them, I can edit them, I can set them as default, I can clone them or duplicate them. This is the one I just created, Masterclass Green. So sorry, I think I'm going a little too fast. So I want to cover so much, guys, but I'll slow it down. But this allows you to see all the different options with your templates. So all your thank you pages are here as well. So your registration pages or thank you pages are here as well. And all the images that you upload and save to your account. These are my images that I created, my logos, all that stuff. So super simple to do. Let's go back to this presentation. What's next? So we talked about registration pages. We got them to register. Let me get back to my slides. Okay, we got them to register. What's next? Okay, so how do we get them to attend? Okay, they're now on my registration. They've registered maybe a week out before my webinar. How do I make sure they attend? And this is what we're going to talk about. Before we track results, we're going to go back. We're going to talk about thank you pages, and we're going to talk about email notifications. We're going to talk about the tools you can use in both to sell people on your webinar. So let's go back to sharing screen. Okay, I'm going to maximize here, and we're going to go back to my webinar that we created, that example webinar, and close these off. I don't need these anymore. And I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to the thank you page template. Okay, thank you page template is the page, again, that they see after they registered. So this is what they see. Okay, this is my template. Let's preview it, see what it looks like. Has my title. Thanks for signing up for this title. Again, these are the most important pieces of information, reminding them this is the promise, this is what you signed up for. We have a reminder. This is the most important information. Please check your email. We sent you all the info. This is the confirmation email we're going to talk about in a moment, which has some important information, as well as information to sell them on the webinar. But it gives them the information, hey, I got you covered. This is an organized situation here. You got an email that's going to give you all the information. Now, I like using the video-based template because it allows me to give them instructions on a personal level, right? Again, congruency. They saw my image on the ad. They saw my image on my website. They saw my image on the registration page. This is who they're signing up for. This is who they saw me in the about section of my registration page. Now I'm giving them a video. Hey, this is Omar. This is, again, I'm getting them conditioned. I'm going to be on this webinar. I'm going to be teaching you this information. I'm building a relationship. And on the video, I do two things. It's a very short video. It's about 30 seconds. I make it generic so I can use it for all my webinars. And I just say, hey, thanks for signing up for this webinar. Your next step is I want you to add this webinar to your calendar. Use the add to calendar feature. And the add to calendar feature will add the event right into their iCal, their Yahoo, their Gmail, their Outlook, whatever they have, they can use that for their calendar. They add it to their calendar. All the information is there, like the link, the name, the time, the date, all that stuff gets populated, but it gives them a reminder. And we all know that, hey, if it's not in the calendar, it's just not going to happen, right? So you tell them, hey, I want you to do two things. One, add it to your calendar. And second, share it with others. I do that. I like to tell people share this webinar with others. They should share it on social media. I point to the bottom, say, hey, share it with the icons below. And when they share it, they don't share the thank you page. They share actually the registration page so people can register for the webinar. Really short video. It's personal and it's easy. So this is a very short, clean page, gives them all the information they need and gives them the next step. The next step is what? You're going to check your calendar, you're going to share, and of course we have the information telling them to check their email. If I go to the templates, you'll see that we have the video-based template, but if you don't want to run a video, if you want to just have a simple one, we have a minimal version of this, no video, but of course you can customize the image in the back, all that kind of stuff like we did before. But no video here, but still same information. You have the add to calendar, you have all the information here as well. And you can tell them to share it on social as well. Same deal here. I like this. I'm gonna hit save. I can save it to my media library. I can make a default, up to me. Okay. So I'm gonna hit save here, and that thank you page is saved. I have taken them from registration page. They've registered, they signed up. Now they're on the thank you page. They've seen my video. They've seen my they've added it to their calendar. Okay, so now they're getting an email notification. What do I do now? So we've done all these things. How do we now get them on board and get them encouraged to show up to the webinar? This is where email notifications come in. A lot of people, they're like, yeah, I know. There's some reminders. It gives them the links. But a lot of people are underutilizing this feature, okay? You need to really go a little bit extra here, because everybody else doesn't, okay? You want to differentiate yourself, you want people to show up, you're going to do something a little bit different. You're going to do something that's going to wow them a little bit, be like, okay, this is different, okay? I haven't seen this before. Most people, they just give you the generic email and they don't modify anything. Well, with WebinarNinja, you can modify all your emails, customize all your registration page, all your registration confirmations, all your email notifications. You can save them, and you can save them as default So that way you can use them for future webinars. You don't have to rewrite the copy. So I'm going to share with you some of the copy with my email sequences, and then you can get some ideas. So first thing is they get this email. It's a confirmation email saying, hey, thanks for registering for webinar title, because I want to use this again for future webinars. So I use the tag right here, webinar title. With me below is some information about your webinar. And this is the basic information like the title, the date and time, and the link. I'm really looking forward to it. And I give them a tip, pro tip, just in case they didn't do it. Lock it in your calendar now. You can use the easy to use add to calendar feature on the webinar thank you page here. And I give them the webinar page link. So the WebinarNinja automatically will show them the thank you page until there's 10 minutes before the webinar starts. So if I send them to the webinar link, they're not going to go inside the webinar because the webinar's not ready yet. You haven't started the webinar. So we show them the thank you page so they can add the calendar even if they forget. So they can go and add it to their calendar. So I give them some instructions just in case they didn't do it. Come to the webinar with any and all questions you have about webinars or business. I'll be happy to answer them live. Okay, so I'm giving them a piece of information. I'm giving them instructions. Remember hand-holding, giving them the next step along the way. This is the first one, the first email. Okay, so I hit, see you there, Omar Zenhom. It's personal. I don't have any kind of fancy stuff here because I want to make it look like it's a personal email. Okay. The next thing is the webinar is tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to close this here. And I can modify my email here, change all the copy, change the title, change the subject, all that stuff, okay? Hey there, thanks again for registering for so-and-so webinar. I give them all the information again to remind them. I want you to get the most out of this webinar. There's a lot of interaction and plenty of time for me to answer all your questions. When you enter the webinar, just post your questions in the question area below. The video, okay, the video area, I promise to answer every question. So again, I'm priming them that, hey, I'm assuming that you're going to enter the webinar. I'm not assuming you're not coming. If you show up, no. When you show up, okay, I want you to do something. I want you to post a question. I want you to put something in the questions area, okay? So already they're thinking, okay, I have to do something when I go to this webinar. This is an interactive webinar. This is not a webinar where I'm just going to sit down. This is not going to be a fake live webinar where there's a recording. Somebody's actually going to be there answering questions, okay? Again, I'm priming them so that way they feel like this is something different, that they're going to have an interactive webinar, that they're going to get something out of this webinar, okay? And I continue to do this. And I'm going to go real quick to tell you like the message here. I tell them, hey, when you enter the webinar, introduce yourself. Another handhold, another piece of instruction. I want you to introduce yourself. I give them an example so they don't have to make something up in their head. Hey, my name is Omar from Sydney. I want you to tell me what would it be a win for you today. And I say, please tell me that in the chat when you enter the chat. And I give them an example of what that looks like. That would be so awesome, right? I want to personally make sure that they get an ROI. I get an ROI on their team, on their time. So that gives them another piece of instruction, okay? As you can see, reminder, we have a reminder 1 hour, right? We have a reminder that's going start now. I'm getting started right now. Jump into the webinar, say hi to me in the chat. I want to give you a shout out, a huge welcome, okay? Now, we also have emails that go out after the webinar, and according to if you have a replay or not. You can set if you want to offer a replay or not. If you have a replay, one of these two emails are going to go out. If you missed it, that means if they didn't attend the live webinar, we don't just send it blanket to everybody. We send a separate email to those who did not attend to say, hey, sorry, I saw that you missed the webinar. Here's the replay. So it's personalized to them, okay? And those who did attend, you can thank them for being on the webinar, and you can put that information. And if you want to remove, if you want to add any kind of offers or anything like that, you can do that as well. And then if you don't have a replay set, you could just have thanks for attending. Now, if you love these, great. If you love the sequence, wonderful. If you don't, you can always shut them off. Like, I don't want this email to go off. You can just make it inactive. And you can add your own notifications. So you have built-in email marketing right inside of WebinarNinja. You can, change the title, the subject. You can say who gets this. All registrants, only attendees, only non-attendees, all that kind of stuff. So you can follow up with people later on. You can do this. You can send it like before the webinar, after the webinar. You can do it how many minutes or hours or days relative to that. So like I could do this 12 days before the webinar starts, send this email, okay? And I can change the copy and I can make it active or also add it as default so all my future webinars will have this new notification. Really cool. Okay, so again, the message I'm sending here is that you got to customize your emails to give them a piece of instruction, something to say, hey, this is a different kind of webinar. I want you to do something. Give them something to do. Give them an assignment. Tell them what's going to happen. Entice them. You can even incentivize them. People that show up will get a free gift, a free PDF, a free access to my 3-part course, whatever it is. So this is the message I'm trying to say. If you want to get people to attend, you got to give them a reason to attend. You got to show them what's going to happen. You got to give them a preview, a trailer of what's happening. All right, let's jump right back into the slides. Let's see what we got left. Okay, so we talked about the thank you page, the email notifications, tracking your results. With Webinar Ninja, you can also track all your results. You can take a look at your stats for every webinar. I like to look at my past webinars, see how well I converted on everything. Let me just give you a quick glimpse of that so you can see what it looks like. So right here, if I go to my webinars and I go to one of my past webinars, for example, you'll see the statistics for that webinar. And we have very clean, easy to read statistics. And a lot of the information that you have is exportable. So that way you can easily, let me just go to my webinar view statistics. You can easily export like the chat. You can export your questions. You can export the polls, all that kind of stuff, right? You can see all your information here, how people attended, how people registered. You can see the participation in the chat. You could see poll information, registration information, and all this stuff is exportable as well. So it's easy for you to review. And I love going through questions again. So it tells me what are some areas people need help in. I can create some blog posts about that. I can create some content or a whole webinar for that. So we save all this information per webinar for you. Nice and easy. Okay, let's get back to the, because I want to make sure we have time for questions. Let's go back to my slides real quick. All right, so there's another feature I want to talk about real quick with our replays. Webinar Ninja has some really interesting replays. If you set your webinar, I'm going to show you an example. If you set your webinar to have a replay, let's say I have a replay available indefinitely, let's say. Let's say I put on Facebook, hey guys, I'm doing a webinar tomorrow. Here's the link, check it out. But now it's a few days later, the webinar's over. And that link still exists on social, right? What if people visit that link? What happens if they visit that link? Most people are going to find that the webinar is over. But with Webinar Ninja, what we do is we actually show them, hey, this live broadcast is over, but you could still register for the replay. This allows you to create an automated webinar out of your live webinar. So even though people miss the live webinar, they can register for the replay, and therefore you can get the contact. You can follow up with them later on with email notifications. You can send them your offers. You can move them to your email list, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to show you real quick. I'm just going to go to a webinar. I'm going to share my screen real quick and show you how that looks when I register for a replay. Here we go. I'm going to grab a link, copy, and I'm going to share my screen. Okay, open that up. And I'm going to go real quick to here. All right, so I'm on another browser, for example. So this is a webinar that I had for members. And since the broadcast has ended, you may watch the replay. You could still register and watch the replay. So even though this is over, right, I can still register. And then once I register, I can get access to the replay. Really cool, especially if you want to continue to give offers after the webinar is over. You can change your offers later on inside the webinar. After the live webinar, if you want to give an alternative offer for the replay, that's all up to you. So that's really, really cool, and it allows you to have more leads even when your webinar is said and done. All right, let's get back. Let's see what we got left. I told you guys I want to cover a lot today. Let's do it. Okay, so we talked about conversions. We know what we have to do to make sure people register and attend. How do we now, after we fine-tune things, get more traffic to the site? Well, I talk about, these are some quick tips I'm going to go through. And these are the things that have worked best for me. Okay, this is what worked best for me. There are other things you could do, but this is what works best for me. Start at home. Okay, number one is start at home, meaning start on your website. Make sure that you tell people on your website you're running webinars. Put a link to your registration page. Put a home banner. You can use sumo.com, has these banners, hello bars. You can put it on your blog. You can put it on the side column of your blog, put a little image of yourself and the webinar title, and link it to your registration page. You're getting traffic to your site anyway. People are finding you through Google, through referrals, through backlinks. maximize on that traffic and get people to your webinar, and let's make sure it's front and center. You can even put it in the top menu bar and call it like free webinar or free training, and they click on the menu bar and they go to a registration page on a new tab. Easy to do. Next one, invite your existing audience, whether you have an email list of 5 people. When I started doing webinars, I had an email list of less than 300 people, okay? So it doesn't matter. Invite anybody you have. Your email list, anybody you have on social, you want to let people know if you have any kind of mastermind group, any kind of social group that you have online or offline. Invite anybody you know just to get the ball rolling. You want to. A lot of people say, well, in the start, I'm not going to have that many people. That's okay. You're just getting started. That's a blessing in disguise. You can have a few reps to get the webinar, flow going and your juices flowing. And then when you start to get good at it, your audience will start building. Okay, so don't worry about the audience at the start. Worry about your craft. Make sure that you're delivering the right message. And remember, it's all about conversion. Okay, it doesn't matter if you have 100 people there or 50 people. You want to convert at a high rate. So when you do have a lot of people, you're maximizing. Okay. And we're going to team up. We could team up with anybody. So if you know anybody in another industry that you want to team up with, if you want to team up with a different industry, somebody who's interested in what you have to do. So for example, my area of expertise is webinars. So I can team up with a company that has customers that would be running webinars. So for example, I can team up with Intercom. Intercom has other businesses. Intercom is a software company. Hey, Intercom, I'm happy to do a webinar for your audience for free. I'm not going to sell anything. I just want to give free content. It's a win-win for them. They're totally fine with it. I'm not going to sell in the webinar. I'm just going to give them a free workshop. Once I have their email address, then I can invite them to another workshop where I can say, hey guys, here's another workshop that you can attend. At the end of this workshop, full transparency, if you want to get started with my product, I'll be giving an offer. If not, totally fine. Put your wallet in the freezer. Doesn't matter. Okay, so this is an easy way to give free value to people, other industries, other leaders. It doesn't have to be a big company. It could be a small blog. It could be a person that's a podcaster. It could be a YouTube channel. Team up with somebody who already has an audience that would be interested in your area of expertise. Write about it. Write a blog post about the subject you're going to be doing a webinar about. And at the end of the blog post, you can either write it on your own site or you can do a guest post. Put on the link. Say, hey, it looks like you're interested in this topic. I'll be giving a live workshop or a workshop if it's automated on this topic. Sign up here. Super simple. People are going to this topic via SEO, via search. Anyway, they're interested in it. You're getting a targeted lead registering for you. Get social. If you're on social media, talk about your topic. Don't just say, hey, I'm running a webinar. Here's a link. Say, hey, guys, I'm thinking about running a webinar on how to get started with snowboarding. I have a snowboard academy online. What are some areas that you want to learn about? What are some things you're struggling with? Let me know. Start talking, get social, get information, find out what they're struggling with so you can come up with a great topic. And then once you come up with the topic, then you can say, hey, by the way, thank you for all your help coming up with this topic. I decided to go with this pain point. I'll be running a webinar tomorrow. People are going to be more convinced and more feel a sense of ownership of that idea once they've been involved, and they'll be more willing to sign up then. Okay, I talked about incentivize. You can even incentivize them by giving them something for free for showing up, whether it's a book, a guide, a course, something. We've tried this. This works totally fine by giving them some sort of useful information or tool for showing up to the live webinar. And lastly, we talk about paid traffic. I think I put this last because I think it's the last thing after you've done all this stuff and you want to just take things to another crazy level. Paid traffic is an option. I think you should look into it, but I don't really think, in my experience, it works well going straight to a webinar. What I would do is I would run paid ads to a piece of free content, whether it's something that captures an email. So like a course, a guide, a book, any kind of free content that they can get instantly, or an automated webinar, something that they can buy, they can get access to it right away. Then it's easy to do. This is super easy to do. People can sign up. You're going to get a higher conversion on the actual ad. You're going to pay less per click, less per conversion. And then once they're on your email list, then you can invite them to a webinar, on a live webinar, and then say, hey, give them an offer then.